Hello and good afternoon. Happy Sunday, everyone. I am alive and doing okay. So if you don't know, I've had COVID. I was really sick with my boyfriend the first couple of days, but I'm doing okay. I have a lot of like lingering just fatigue and things like that, but I've got my juice. This one has orange, lemon, astragalus, ginger, raw local honey, and cayenne. This is Flourish Juice Co. If you're in the Chicagoland area, check them out. It's all fresh, and I believe it's all organic as well. It's delicious. Okay, so there are some things happening this week. We have Mercury retrograde coming up. Yay! Vesta is actually switching into Capricorn. And we also have Ceres, which has been in retrograde, stationing direct. So that's going to be like an intense feeling. And I think that's going to be relevant for this upcoming Mercury in retrograde as well. And we also have, hold on one second. Okay, this is plugged in. Okay. We also have the sun will be aligning with Pluto next Sunday. So we'll talk about the goddess asteroids. I have my handy book here by Demetra George, The Asteroid Goddesses. So we'll kind of just read a little bit of what she has to say about Vesta and Ceres. She says it best, honestly. A lot of what I learn about the goddess asteroids comes from Demetra George. She has all kinds of astrology books. And we'll talk about Mercury retrograde and look at the chart too. So let's actually start with the chart, and we will talk about the asteroids and everything afterwards. So I finally set it to 0 degrees Aries, so when we're clicking through, we won't have to like look at that really Disneying thing. And then it doesn't matter, since we're kind of all over the world, it doesn't matter what the rising is, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so this is today. Is it? Yes, it is. Okay. So today, the only major thing happening today, we have Moon in Aries. As you can see, it already crossed over Chiron, which can be painful, but also very healing. Mercury is forming, Mercury in Aquarius, which is right here. We're getting very, very close to Saturn here. Mercury in Aquarius is forming a sextile to Chiron. So, I'm laughing at my cats. So Chiron or sextiles are helpful, but you have to work for it. They don't just flow naturally. So it's two different energies, but those two energies can work together if we actually try to make it happen, but we have to try. That's the key. So Mercury in Aquarius forming a sextile to Chiron, I just see this as healing. Mercury being our minds, the way we think, the way that we talk, communicate, share ideas, how we intake data and information, and what we do with it. While Chiron is the wounded healer, the wise teacher in astrology. So Chiron is basically our deepest soul wound or wounds, and how we go about healing that. Now with Mercury, it pretty much implies that those wounds are in the mind right now and the way that we think. So I do see this as being very positive. I see this as, especially with brilliant, scientific, innovative, unique Mercury in Aquarius, we're really looking at our healing in a different way. We're really wanting to take a brand new perspective that is actually going to make sense in the future and make sense in the long run, instead of just doing things the way that we've always done them or always thought about them. So this is kind of like a refreshing aspect, I think, where we can approach our healing in a different way, or even maybe in a more inclusive way. Because usually Aquarius wants to be inclusive of everyone, you know, all of humanity. So how does that apply to our deep soul wounds in the mind? Maybe we need to be more all-inclusive of everyone, and we need to be more accepting of different types of people. That's just kind of how I feel about that. So Vesta is the Vesta. So Vesta is up here next to Mars. I'm such a dork. As you can see, Vesta is at 29 degrees of Sagittarius, and it will move into Capricorn tomorrow, actually. So let's go ahead and go to that. Okay. Okay, depending on where you are, I'm doing Central Time here, of course. It's at exactly midnight of the 11th. So it depends on where you are. Vesta is moving into Capricorn. All right. So got the book. Let's look up Vesta. Let me get out of this because I know you don't want to stare at this chart the whole time as I'm talking about this. Also, just be aware of where your Vesta is too in your chart. Okay. So I might just paraphrase, or I might just read straight from it. I don't know. Whatever I feel like doing. Okay. Vesta in the horoscope. So Vesta is the goddess of the hearth, the sacred hearth fire, the sacred womb fire. So, in ancient societies, the hearth fire in the center of the village or in the center of the home even too was very, very important because that's how you cooked your food. That's how you stayed warm without freezing to death. So like that hearth fire became very, very symbolic and very important, not only for survival purposes, but there's also a lot of spiritual significance to it. And I believe it was in ancient Rome that if that one main hearth fire that they had burned out, basically they associated the health of Roman society with if that fire was burning or not. So if that fire went out, they saw that as a sign that something really bad was going to happen and their society was going to end forever. So the people who had to, the priestesses specifically, the Vestal virgins who had to tend to that fire, they had to keep that fire going. And I don't remember, I think they might, if they did let it go out, they were at risk of being killed. They were at risk of being killed for a lot of reasons. We'll get into that. So she is the keeper of the sacred fire and the home fire. Vesta is a symbol of protection, which ensured the cohesion of the state and family for the people of the earth. This is like the highest standard basically for women at the time. Oh, they're talking about Greeks right now. So once we get to Roman times, things were switched up a little bit because before that, Vesta actually was associated with sacred sexual rites and devotions, which brought the fertilizing power of the moon into effective contrast with the lives of human beings. But then by the time we get to Roman times, Vesta became the divinity of the Vestal virgins, who were venerated for their purity and sexual chastity. So, the story of all the goddesses and how they were worshipped or not worshipped and what happened to them, it's all interwoven. So in Roman times, the Vestal virgins, they had to dedicate 30 years of their life and remain celibate for those 30 years to be a Vestal virgin. And they served as a priestess of Vesta in the Vesta temple. So they would dedicate literally the first 30 years of their life to this work. I don't know if it was the first 30, but they dedicated 30 years of their life to this work. And after those 30 years, they could choose to marry or not to marry, which many of them didn't. Now, this is kind of unheard of in Roman society because women were not permitted to do anything really, especially not choose to be married or not married. So the Vestal virgins had a lot of power, even though they had to remain celibate. If they didn't remain celibate and they were caught, they would be buried alive because it was considered to be impure to spill the blood of a Vestal virgin, even though she wasn't a virgin anymore. They would literally be buried alive. It was horrific. But the Vestal virgins had so much power that if someone was being executed and a Vestal virgin stood up during the execution was like, do not kill this person, they would listen to her. And that's just very unheard of in Roman society. So Vesta is keeping that inner womb fire alive. So I see it as passion and spiritual transformation. I see this as the Sacred Heart. I see this as just that sexual fire, not so much dark Lilith, instinctual, but it's kind of similar to that a little bit. It's dedicating yourself to a sacred purpose, a spiritual purpose, focusing your energy on something that literally ignites that inner fire. And that's very, very spiritual and very symbolic. Vesta describes the 12 styles of focus and commitment and what we have to exclude from our lives in order to achieve that purpose. Vesta also describes the way in which we deal with personal sexual energy, either through free expression sublimation or repression. So Vesta. So she rules over personal integration. So that can include discipline, personal routines, health, nutrition, exercise, meditation. So that's kind of like keeping your health fire alive, your digestive fire, your health fire. Vesta is an indicator of sexuality and sexual complexes. So she can also represent frigidity, barrenness, impotence, sterility, virginity, chastity, purity, celibacy, fertility, promiscuity, prostitution, pornography, and also discrimination and sexuality. So she rules like all of those things as well. She can. It doesn't mean she always does. It just means that she can and often does. She also signifies devotional and religious activities. So priests and priestesses, nuns, probably. Religious orders, prayer, meditation, devotion, altar flames, hearth fires, altars and ceremonial objects, vows, commitment. So I think you get the gist of that. And she's also associated with scholastic interests. So being a scribe, being a teacher, professor, keeper of esoteric and religious teachings. She also binds groups together through a common belief. So it could be like fraternal or sororal orders, social or service groups, hospitality, secret societies, and orders. So there's something very high priestess about her, just thinking about the high priestess card. And also about conservatism and safety. So keeping that fire going at all costs, no matter how much dedication or sacrifice it takes. Okay. There's something else about her too. Vesta. Okay, no, that's pretty much it. Okay. There's a lot more on her. That's just like the very general basic what Vesta is about. So Vesta is moving into Capricorn. Now, I think that the asteroids are so important. Obviously, the planets are important, and a lot of people gloss over the asteroids, but I see them as being very, very, very important in a very masculine dominated practice, which is astrology. So Vesta and Capricorn, let's see what it says. She also has all the asteroids through the signs. So if you ever get this book, you can look up yours too. Vesta and Capricorn individuals work best in a structured and disciplined fashion. The work effort is often motivated by personal ambition and the drive to succeed. The ability to formulate and execute plans leads to success in administrative work. Yet Vesta and Capricorn's strict adherence to rules and regulations can denote excessive rigidity. The presence of commitment and honor in the relationship is often necessary for sexual fulfillment. These individuals, so people who have Vesta and Capricorn, may fear sexual intimacy and emotional involvement if they associate it with criticism, judgment, or loss of power or control. Discipline is marked and great attainments can be reached. These people expect success through paying their dues. Okay. So that's kind of where we're going to be at while Vesta's in Capricorn. It's definitely like a serious placement. We're already feeling that like very Saturnian seriousness, I think, with Sun, Juno, Pluto, Venus, and now Vesta being in Capricorn. So just like putting in the work, putting in the effort, putting in those hours to focus on your passions, not just like a fleeting passion, but like what really gets your soul on fire, and like tending to your own sacred fire. If you know any fire sign people, it's like you have to tend to their fire. You know what I'm talking about? You have to do that for yourself too. And like the vehicle for that to happen is going to be through what is important to you. What is your calling? What is your service work to humanity? That kind of stuff. All right, so I think that's enough about Vesta. So that is happening tomorrow, Monday. Now on Tuesday, Mars and Sagittarius will square Neptune. So let's just go to noon here. All right, Mars and Sagittarius here. It seems like Mars has been in Sagittarius for forever, squaring Neptune. So 20 degrees here. So, of course, Sagittarius and Pisces have something in common, and that is both being ruled by Jupiter in traditional astrology. They have a lot in common, like a lot in common. Sagittarius is fire, but is more like, as Rick Levine would say, like a distant star burning in a galaxy kind of fire. They're so similar. It's hard for me to even separate them sometimes. The only difference is that Pisces, which is ruled by Neptune, can't expand forever, and Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, can expand until it gets to Saturn, and then it has to go back and try again, try a different way. So Mars forming a square to Neptune, just my personal feeling about it, I don't necessarily see it as being like super positive. I'm not saying it's negative, but we can really take those daydreams too far, and we can really get wrapped up in an ideal, which might be like entirely made up in our head and just not possible or realistic. That's how I see it, because Mars, especially in Sagittarius, is really impatient and very aggressive and just wants to do the thing. Whatever he wants to do for himself, that's what's going to happen. So forming this square to Neptune and Pisces, which is very compassionate, very patient, very all-inclusive, I just see almost those ideals getting taken to past boundaries where it would make logical sense and then actually becoming more harmful in the process. So I think it's just important to ground yourself and to reel it back in. I don't think we'll have a problem with that because we have all of this Capricorn going on. So pay attention to your visions, pay attention to your dreams, and this is on Tuesday. Woo! That cayenne pepper is rough. It's good though. Okay. On Thursday, Ceres and Taurus will station direct. So let's move forward 2 days. Ceres is down here. As you can see, it is still in retrograde. So let's move hour by hour. Yep, stationary. It's what the S means there. Stationary means it is about to switch directions. It's either retrograde, about to go forward, or it's going forward, about to go retrograde. So in this case, it's about to go direct again. Ceres is Demeter, which is the mother of Persephone. So Ceres is like the archetypal mother, very fierce, intelligent, protective mother who does everything for her children and for her daughter, in the case of Ceres, Demeter. Ceres, there's always like these elements of loss, I think, and also the harvest, because Demeter is the goddess of the harvest. So there's definitely this like death thing going on, reaping your own harvest, reaping what you've sown. But there's also feelings of difficult loss tied into that somehow. So Ceres and Taurus, this is like family stuff. This is like the very foundation of your upbringing that makes you who you are. It's not the emotional foundation like the fourth house might be. It's more Taurus foundation. So Venus, Earth, solid, having an actual like physical home, having money, having what you need, that kind of stuff. And I do see it as related to the emotions a little bit, because if you don't have that steady foundation growing up, like your emotions might not develop properly, or you're just going to struggle with expressing them in a healthy way. So I think Ceres being in Taurus, this kind of brings those elements into the picture somehow. Something about your childhood maybe you had to let go of within the last however many months. Maybe there's something nostalgic, there's something that brought you a lot of security in your family roots, in your own foundation, maybe not even having to do with your family, but like your own roots. Something got ripped out. And that's where the healing has probably been taking place while Ceres has been in retrograde. So that kind of stuff is going to come up, and I think that those doors are going to close for good, once Ceres actually gets moving again. All right, so let's look at Mercury. As you can see, it is stationary as well. Very, very close to Saturn there. Saturn is getting very, very close to my Saturn, actually, now that I'm looking at it. Okay, so Mercury retrograde, y'all know what that's about. So Mercury in Aquarius is always amusing as it is, because this is the mad scientist, and I don't mean that in a bad way when I say it. I was actually thinking of it as a good thing. but I was looking up like the archetypal meaning of that. And usually it means like a scientist that like forgets about morals and ethics and like does this super terrible stuff in the name of science, which I guess could be dark Aquarius energy too, but I don't necessarily mean it as a bad thing when I say that. I just mean like a brilliant scientist, a brilliant person, like having all these like light bulbs go off, these ideas, making connections, very like creative, intellectual energy, which is Aquarius. So Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. So all of the changes that we've been making in our lives, in our own belief systems, and the way that we think about the world, and the way that the world thinks about us, humanity as a whole, society, that's kind of gonna go internal for a bit. And I don't even feel like doing this too, now that I'm talking about it, but like we're gonna have to kind of look at how we see things and our perspectives, and maybe realize things that we don't want to realize, see things in a new way, perhaps, maybe realizing where we just kind of have to surrender to the flow again, because maybe we've been too masculine, we've been trying too hard to be disciplined and keeping things in order. Maybe we need to let go a bit. I don't know, it's going to be different for you. Look at where Aquarius is in your chart. Are you okay, baby? She better not puke a hairball off of that dresser right now. Okay, so Mercury in Aquarius is stationary. Are you okay, baby? I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by my cat right now. It's like coughing. All right, so Mercury in Aquarius, we're really gonna have to see how we think about humans in general and humanity in general. Is it fair? Is it equal? Does it make sense? Does it make you happy? Does it actually contribute something to society? That's kind of how I'm seeing it right now. So Mercury retrograde, let's see where that goes or how long it goes. So we're moving forward in time here. And as you can see, Mercury is out of retrograde right now. Oh my God, my cat. I'm sorry. All right, so it's going to happen until about February 2nd when it will go stationary again. So just prepare yourself. Now, it's not that you can't do things during Mercury retrograde. I hate when people try to tell you what you can and can't do. Other astrologers or whatever, don't sign contracts, don't do this. It's not the best idea because Rick taught us this, and I thought this was really a great point, that everyone is in a feeling of desperation during Mercury retrograde. So like you feel like you've got to do it right now, and like it's got to happen right now. And that hastiness is why signing contracts is not a good idea. Or why traveling isn't a good idea, because people just want to get, you know, where they're going and they're not paying attention, they get into an accident. So it's not that you can't do those things and that it's like cursed or something while Mercury's in retrograde. It's just that we need to like slow the heck down, like slow down and think about what you're doing before you do it. You know, don't just like make hasty decisions during Mercury retrograde, because it's probably going to be the wrong one. Or maybe not even that. You know what I'm saying though? Like the details get missed for sure in Mercury retrograde. So we're like, we got to get it done. We got to do everything right now. We got to go. We got to go. It's interesting to watch people drive during Mercury retrograde, because what is wrong with you? Now she's got to come over here and do it. Okay. So you can make decisions in Mercury retrograde. A lot of the work is supposed to be internal. So that's why like the external Mercury stuff, technology, emails, transportation, communication, talking, sending and receiving messages, you know, that kind of stuff gets really messed up. So, okay, now that my cat is, I don't even know, gonna puke everywhere, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. All right, so the sun in Capricorn will also conjunct Pluto on Sunday, so next Sunday, the 16th. And we also have, this is the wrong month, look. So we also have a full moon coming up. When the heck is that? That's going to be on the 17th, so the following Monday. Yeah, I'll probably do the live on Sunday, so next Sunday, the 16th. Hopefully I'll be feeling a little bit better by then. like 2 weeks is the max amount of time that I want to deal with this, because I'm not used to getting sick anymore. I really, really don't. I do feel better today. I think it's the juices, honestly. But it's just like taking forever. Like, man, I don't remember the last time. Like, I've been like feeling the symptoms for this long, but I've been like really just clearing my system, like juices, fruits, like barely any like real food, really, just like some rice and stuff, and drinking a ton of water, and just like letting myself sleep for 12 hours, which I could do if I was sick or not. Honestly, I could sleep forever. Okay, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Yes, and I will probably see you next Sunday for a live. So I will post that in the Patreon and the Discord so that you remember. Okay, all right, have a great week, you guys. I love you. Stay healthy. Bye.